Hey, John Dramani Mahama, it's my bonadri ama Donald Trump, US president. Ama Donald Trump. General meeting, UN general meeting, I say. Just say Donald Trump, edin tisu wasa, wait me pajanity. Copy say John Dramani Mahama. I can't answer me. Na yin na kaya around April. Omo modi akosia wo general meeting ya say bio. Emma Donald Trump, bonadri ma some African countries, which I say, ya too kwan crowd do. Ya too kwan do, akwantu ne doors do. Ya ma ye ninka ya mnem, bonadri. E free one ma. And on the taxes be at a total near ma Africans because fan or a yom crum 15%. If you honor or sa but more than says, say crowd o professor crowd by US crana a 3 months pay. Neno and John Dramani Mahama. A bonajama Donald Trump, Donald Trump, and so good in a stage no. Then some more can you know, na koya chopper. Hi, SMS update. I had a dear make sure so subscribe and like and watch it. Anytime I bedrock piano on sap, able to make a feel free. So comment I say horns so. And I'm a so we are one son, we are artisans, we are mason, we are carpenter, we are designer, we are photographer, we are saloon, but three. Bomodian so sign on thecraftman.com thecraftman.com bebo ama wanya client now na ayejuma we will be awabuchi we will be so upobi amana yejuma ma they sign up on thecraftman.com bebo am wanya nkrofo a o maye wejuma no ama kama Nenya beka ya around April ana Donald Trump babontin UN general meeting ase born adwen ma some African countries or say ye ma ye ninka ye krom enye ye dia ye ma ye ni ekro no ye dia akwanto bebrebe ne dooso o de niam bebrebe to Africans eso say yentimi emba krom ho em spend more than 3 months or ho afenso no 15% tariffs no de to so taxes no de to niam a ebetimi asa every krom ho e de aba krom a wo kire say ye ma ye ninka ye krom bibia we krom bia no yanyu ya de.
The truth is plain to see. If you want freedom, take pride in your country. If you want democracy, hold on to your sovereignty. And if you want peace, love your nation. Wise leaders always put the good of their own people and their own country first. The future does not belong to globalists. The future belongs to patriots. The future belongs to sovereign and independent nations who protect their citizens, respect their neighbors, and honor the differences that make each country special and unique.
Now, Enra, general meeting, UN general meeting, I'm organizing Enra ya. I'm going to share for meeting. John Dramani Mahama so born adwema Donald Trump na sene John Dramani Mahama ehye nensem de kire Donald Trump no meeting ase Donald Trump entimi ampede nani ahwe John Dramani Mahama oyedi bo born adwen se Ghana fo ye nya akronfo Africans ye nya akronfo ne mo ye odo ye nyina ni migration se migration esi ewekisi fa no akonto bebem nti se obi tu kwan ba okro mu a enya se nipa no obeba okro no anase obese wo man nemum eya kwantu eya brabo ene mamanfo eba okro obobo na adwen kikanya sesem ekire Donald Trump no Donald Trump yedi na Senator John Ekasem His Excellency Ekasem no ho ye mama odi an video no.
Madam President, I also want to draw particular attention to the conflict in Sudan, which this body has described as the world's largest humanitarian crisis. 12 million people have had to flee their homes. And when we speak of migration, we refer to the 12 million new Sudanese refugees, whom we as a global community should be willing to assist in much the same way that many member nations readily assisted new refugees coming out of Ukraine. Let's dispense with the euphemisms and dog whistles and speak frankly. It is not a mystery that when leaders of Western nations complain of their migration problems, they are often referring to immigrants from the global south. But many of those immigrants are climate refugees. And interestingly, the global north emits 75% more greenhouse gases than the global south. However, the effects of climate change are more severe in the global south because we lack the resources to address them effectively. And so when the desert encroaches on our villages and towns, and they become unlivable, we are forced to flee. While Sanshire, a Somali-born prophet, a Somali-British poet born in Kenya to Somalian refugee parents, was London's first youth poet laureate. She writes in her poem titled Home. And it says, you have to understand that no one puts their children in a boat unless the water is safer than the land. No one bends their palms under trains beneath carriages. No one spends days and nights in the stomach of a truck feeding on newspaper unless the miles traveled mean something more than just a journey. Madam President, we cannot normalize cruelty. We cannot normalize hatred. We cannot normalize xenophobia and racism. If we're going to tell a story, let's not tell its slant. Let's tell all the truth. When we speak of migrants, we speak of Mami Ewusi Mensah Frimpong, a judge on the U.S. District Court for the Central District of California. She's the first black female judge on any of California's 4 federal district courts. She was born here in America to immigrant parents from Ghana. We speak of Peter Bosman, a medical doctor in Ghana who moved to the town of Piran in Slovenia in the 1980s and later became the first black mayor of Piran, the first black mayor in Slovenia and in the whole of Eastern Europe. We speak of T. Michael, the iconic Ghanaian Norwegian artist and designer. And of course, we speak of the late Kofi Annan, former United Nations Secretary General. Former United Nations Secretary General and Nobel Peace Prize recipient, who was born in Ghana but spent his adulthood in various places in America and Europe. These are people who have brought great distinction to the countries that they decided to call home. Just as the migrants and the children of migrants before them did, I dare say these are not invaders. These are not criminals.
Na nsema His Excellency John Dramani Mahama eka no eka Donald Trump akoma Donald Trump to say sa na asem ne woso no ana ono nso bo modin anya na chance ache say also no nso ko deliver na ono nso ko gina honom no na ase akoye say ne nsema a ho ka no akoye say achopa ana so opa.
Whether the UN can manage to play a productive role, I've come here today to offer the hand of American leadership and friendship to any nation in this assembly that is willing to join us in forging a safer, more prosperous world. And it's a world that we'll be much happier with. A dramatically better future is within our reach. But to get there, we must reject the failed approaches of the past and work together to confront some of the greatest threats in history.
Now, Donald Trump also can ensem ye no. Enra na and we told you say Ghana. Donald Trump ensem o can say 3 months. Opeso onya visa 3 months and I go twa no US no. Say asaba back to 5 years bio. Asaba back to 5 years bio what say. Donald Trump asa biem ama Africans say there. Mumbetimi aba. Mumbetimi betwa 5 years e wono krom instead of 3 months now de ebeto Africans so no. Because and some bebresi ho ne bebre na adwon say na 3 months there na ekwakoye say Africa the World Cup ebekọ no 2026 ikra no ahwekra na Ghana for 8 min ko support o mutim na koye nsem bebre but say no friends abra John Dramani Mahama e kan nsem wie npe Donald Trump has a son anoma niema nyina asasa to back ama say Ghana for ebekọ USA is 5 years straight instead of 3 months no they say there. And he just must have to no. Finally, dear, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Ni speech or command where general meeting national. Na no the nation to the extent that etimia ka Donald Kwaku Trump akoma ama Donald Trump etimia sasa sanema ama Africans. ISMS update. Ahana de yekodi na bro. Make sure to subscribe. No like it, no share. So anytime I me drop biano onsa ebetumi akabi ana afin so mamen kai o bomodi aso be comment wa se o na eno so eboa ama yadwuma na ye no yetine ma bi ase de obeka bia no me de be yadwuma wo de kire wadwen kire me na mefa na me so me de ye adwuma na afin so no wo ye mason wo ye carpentani wo ye obi a opamade wo ye obi a obutiri wo ye obi a wonsan nwuma designer photographer momodi aso be sign ho ewo thecraftman.com platform ebeboa o ama wanya eye obi na one na ye adwuma client na one na ye adwuma sapepe na etie ana afin so onso wo ye obi a wo pe obi ama na ye odwuma bi ama they sign up on the craftman.com and also a platform my bebo am wonya the right person no be your odwuma kama e de amount na me san kai obi so wo hia nema from UK and China dia but mo dia say obe contact the fast track shipping limited and also a platform and also eku a omo ebo mo dia say omo shop nema amount UK and China e de Ghana asumdwem opese oto ade from eBay Amazon dia but mo dia say contact fast track shipping limited ne bebo ama wo enya atimi ashope onema kama but mo dia so be contact omo high SMS update without wasting my time I will say au revoir.